Hello students of PHY 122 course. Welcome to the fall semester. In these short videos, I'm going to record the explanation about the course and how we're going to run this course in the fall 2012. First of all, you will notice that you have two links to the PHY 122 course, one to your section number and to the section and one to the master site. So please use this section link to check your grades, and if there are any announcements, your TA will use the section site to communicate with you. Also, there is a discussion board there, so where you can place any questions for your group, for your section, and maybe somebody can answer. So on the master site, that's where I, instructor of record, going to communicate with you, and that's where I place all the course materials. So if you go to course information, you will see all materials about the course. If you go lab manuals, you will see all the lab manuals for 11 labs. There are also two folders that contains the reference material about the error propagation, okay, how to do partial derivatives, how to report experimental results at the PowerPoint presentation. So be sure you look for all these reference materials because they're all very useful and they will help you to understand what is required on the lab report. Okay, so also the major software we're going to use is graphical analysis. So there is a description and there is some practice that can be done. And graphical analysis is available on My ASU, My Apps. So if you go My ASU, My Apps, then you can upload the graphical analysis on your computer, install graphical analysis on your computer, and then you can do this practice. So you'll feel more comfortable if you practice at home. So lab calendar. So the lab calendar is posted here, and you can see there are green highlighted areas when there is no lab. So be sure you don't attend a lab on these weeks. Okay, and also there are two errors at the end of the semester, which means the lab cycle is going to switch. Usually the first day of labs are going to be Fridays and the last is Wednesdays, and in the last 2 weeks of the semester, you can see that the first day of lab is going to be Monday and the last week is going to be Friday. So it does mean that your days are going to be the same, so your section are going to be the same, but the lab week beginning and end will switch. So it is important to know if you happen to be sick or if it's any emergency and you have to make up the lab and you have to request the lab session switch just for one lab week. Okay, this is not permanent, it's just for 1 week. So there is a link that will take you to the special form, but before you go to that link, be sure you go to check PHY all sections, and it will take you to the schedule of all of the sections with the TA's name and the time. So in this case, you can find the time that fits your schedule within that lab week that you have to make a change. And after that, you go to the form and you complete the form and you put the name and time of alternative section right here. So you complete all the information, original TA, alternative section information, the reason for switch, and then you click submit. After you click submit, I, as instructor of record, get an email and I will reply to you with approval or disapproval. And if it's approved, so please be sure you print and take it to class. Okay, so because you will get attendance points, and this is how we'll be able to keep track of your attendance points if you didn't attend your original session. So I'll go over the major tips of the course syllabus. I expect that you are going to read it. By yourself at home also. So I'll try to zoom in. You actually can see. Okay, it zooms in everything except the document. Interesting. Okay, so you can find my contact information on the course syllabus. You can see my contact information, my office PSH 351, located on the 3rd floor of Physical Science Building H Wing. Your labs are located on the 3rd floor of Physical Science Building H Wing also, and it's usually 365. So this is a one credit course and it will be assigned separately from the lectures. The lectures are prerequisite for the lab, so if you have to withdraw the lecture course, you have to withdraw the lab course. The topic that we will cover is to help you to understand the concept that you're going to learn in the lecture, so it's all related to mechanics. So there are 11 lab sessions and you have to participate in 10 to pass in 10. One of the lowest score will be dropped. So, and the minimum number you have to participate, is 9. So your grade will be assigned based on the 10 highest score, but to pass the course, you have to participate at least 9 sections. Their final score will be based on attendance, pre-lab, and lab report. Attendance is 5 points, pre-lab is 10 points, and lab report is 85 points. Okay. So, method of instructions. Your TA is not expecting to provide you the lecture about the theoretical material. So, you are expected to read for the lab and prepare for the lab, which means you have to understand the terminology and physics concept. You have to have an idea about physics concept. And you have only 110 minutes to complete the lab. So, be sure you are prepared and use time wisely. So sometimes the lab can go ahead of lecture, and if you need help with understanding the lecture material, please attend the TA office hours. Okay, and speaking of that, there are several TAs who are teaching PHY 122 course. So the contact information for the TA is placed under staff information on the master course. So there is a staff information. And that's where all TAs are going to place their contact information. So please look at these office hours and find the ones that fit your schedule to attend. Okay, so under staff information, you can see this is my office hours and all other TAs are going to place all their office hours, and it should be here by next Thursday, which is August 30th. Okay, so find the office hours that works for your schedule. Okay, going back to course syllabus. Okay, so you will be working in the group of 3. Okay, each of you are required to submit your own lab report. So be sure when you share the data analysis and lab report, so you don't copy and paste. Okay, it's considered to be cheating and it's not called collaborative work. You are encouraged to work in groups, but each of you has to type in the lab report individually. You have only 1 week to work on your lab report and submit it by next lab session. All pre-labs has to be submitted by the beginning of lab session and at the beginning of the class. And it's your responsibility to turn it into your TA. So at the end of the lab session, you have to sign all experimental data that has been collected in class, and this signed data sheet needs to be attached to your lab report, otherwise it won't be graded. So the laboratory experiment set up for 1 week. In a week, we're going to make a switch. So if you have to make up the lab, so be sure you do it within 1 week. So if you right now, if you have labs on Wednesdays, this is the last day for the lab week. So if you have to do any changes, so you have to attend the lab earlier before Wednesday. So you have to arrive in class on time. If you arrive later than 20 minutes, you won't be allowed to participate in lab session, but you will be allowed to turn in all previous materials. So if you happen to arrive later than 20 minutes, so then you can submit the makeup lab request. The safety rules are posted in the lab, and your TA will show you and explain them prior to every lab. So if there is any safety issue that needs to be addressed, your TA will do it. So the evacuation plan is posted on the door. So please check to see which direction you have to go if there is any fire alarm. Okay, so there is a fire extinguisher located in the front of the classroom, and there is a phone that can be used in emergency situation at the back of the room. So what you need to have on the lab is the lab manual and the writing utilities and flash memory drive. The lab manual can be printed out or can be located on an electronic device, but be sure you don't use the printers that are in the labs to print the lab manuals. Those printers are only to use for graphs and data, printed data generated in the lab. So lab report. The lab report consists of two major parts: cover page, okay, the title page, and then the body of the lab report. Okay. So the cover page has all information about experiments, you and group, and abstract. So there are 4 questions that you have to answer to have the full abstract. The abstract is a brief summary of your lab report, so which means it needs to be written at the end after all sections are completed. So objective, it's a statement, it's a first part of the body, of the major body of the lab report. It starts with a new page, okay, and it's a statement of the physics concept that has been investigated in this lab. So equipment, it's a list of the equipment that help you to achieve the objective. And procedure, it's the paragraph that describes what was done to achieve the objective. So what was done to test this physics concept. Okay, so the next part is going to be experimental data. It's their data that you print in their class and you sign, and this data needs to be attached to the end of the lab report. So you don't have to retype it. Pay attention, do not retype it, but if there is any valuable data that needs to be used in calculations, so then you can put it in their well-organized tables, neatly organized tables. Okay, so the data analysis, it's a section where you use math and you show all the formulas that needs to be applied to achieve the objective. Okay, if we have to calculate free fall acceleration, so all experimental data that was collected and it needs to be plugged in the correct equations, and we have to get the values that we expect. So in discussion, you have to read by yourself carefully, and there are questions that needs to be answered in discussion, and it should help you to have all important material. But the major thing and major 4 parts of discussion are the physics concept that has been investigated, then experimental statement of experimental result that you got in the lab. If there are any expected results, you have to state them, so what expected results, and then you talk about the discrepancy between experimental and theoretical expected results. So what caused the discrepancy, what caused the error, what kind of error is that? Is it static, is it a random error, or it's systematic error? So please be sure that you read about the difference between these errors, systematic and random, so to use those terms appropriate. So, in conclusion, it's a statement, a paragraph, if that states if you met the objective of the lab based on your experimental results. So, be sure that all your graphs are labeled and all results presented legitimately. So, your lab reports will be returned to you 1 week after you turned it in. If you have any concerns about the grade, please first talk to your TA, and then if you're not satisfied, so then you contact instructor of record, which is me in this case. Okay, the final grade will be assigned based on their 10 highest score, a maximum 1,000 points, and there will be no round up or round down. So if it's 89.93, it's going to be 89%, so which is B plus. So be sure if you want to be in the range of A minus and A, that you start working from the beginning of semester and you get at least 90% to get A. So there are also some accommodation that can be made if through their disability resource center if it requires, and the deadline for withdrawal is November 7th. So in my second video, I'll stop a little bit more on the